Faith Fulfilled, Book 1, Chapter 12. A Ruthless Teacher. As promised, on the seventh day, Mike and Clyde finally arrived at Ray and Amy's house. Destiny was there to greet them. Clyde made a glare in Destiny's direction upon laying eyes on her.
Something in your eye?
Something on your face?
Really? That response? You're like 20.
Aren't you in your 20s too?
I'm 19, thank you.
Oh, sorry. You're still a child.
Don't test me. I'm good with a sword.
You want to test that theory?
Clyde said, pulling out his sword.
Ladies, calm down.
Mike says, sticking his hands out.
I am 10 times more manly than this guy, so I don't know who you're calling a lady.
We just got here. Fighting is unnecessary right now. Let's just start off on a clean slate, okay?
Fine. I was gonna wipe the floor with him anyway.
Destiny says, turning to walk toward the house.
Why are you so hostile towards him?
Mike asks, jogging up to walk next to her.
He was the one glaring at me. You can ask him what his problem is.
Destiny brushes him off and walks ahead as Mike slows down to wait for his friend to catch up.
What happened back there?
Nothing, Michael. Just forget about it.
Clyde puts his hands up.
Alright then. Just, in the future, can we get along? We are gonna have to work as a team after all.
I might have to work with her. Doesn't mean I have to like her.
Please? Just don't kill each other.
Fine.
Clyde walks ahead toward the house, with Mike following 2 steps behind. They stood in front of their cabin, that Ray personally built for them, taking a long look at the exterior before entering the doors. Inside, the cabin was cold and empty. The only things Ray provided for them inside were beds to sleep in and 2 furnaces to cook in. Everything else, they'd have to find for themselves. There wasn't even any coal in the furnaces to fuel the fires.
Well, first things first. We need to get some heat in here, because the taiga is so cold.
The guy could have at least given us some coal to light the furnaces. That would have made things a little better.
Even the beds are cold.
Clyde exclaims as he sat down on one.
Well, I guess you called dibs on that bed. I don't want that one now. It has your stench on it.
Stench? Why, you...
Easy there, big fella.
Once you guys have settled in, come on out to the living room.
Ray calls out from behind the door. Clyde and Mike simultaneously jump startled.
Do you think he heard us?
Shh! Shut up, Clyde!
Yes, I can hear you. Now quit fooling around and get ready.
I think he has psychic powers.
He does, you idiot! That's why we're here!
Right. I knew that.
Clyde says, and bolts after him. Ray watches as the 2 men exit the bedroom and make their way to the center of the room.
I'm sure you've noticed by now that you don't really have that much to start out with. I've given you the essentials. Let me make one thing very clear. You are not here to have fun. You are here to train for our stand against the legacy holders.
Jeez, starting off strong already.
Clyde whispered.
Clyde, you start training in the morning. For now, just get whatever it is you will need for your cabin. Mike, you and Destiny are with me at sundown.
Isn't that a little dangerous being out at night?
If any monsters come at us, we can use them as training dummies. Now do whatever it is you want to do within the premises until tonight. I'll see you then.
Ray said, exiting the cabin.
Wow, he is a lot less formal than he was before.
Throughout his entire walk back to the house, Ray never stopped scowling. Opening the doors, he let out a large sigh.
Are they here?
Amy asked as he walked in.
Yes. Yes, they are.
What's wrong?
I just don't think this was a good idea at all. Mike is a threat to all of us, and you want me to train him?
Are we really going to do this again? Mike is not a threat. He is your son. He's our son.
Yes, and it's because of the fact that he is my son that he is such a threat. He has the power to lay waste to what is left of this world. He is a monster, Amy. A monster!
You never even gave him a chance. Even when he was born, you hated him. You can't say these things, Ray. You don't even know him.
And neither do you.
So let's get to know him.
No, we can't risk him knowing who we are to him.
And why not?
Because I don't want him to end up as I did. Evil runs in my family's veins. Everyone in my family has turned into those legacy holders that is burning this entire world to the ground. You think if he found out that he is related to the son and brother of a legacy holder that he would be happy and want to have a family reunion?
You're pushing your son away like your father did when he found out you were turning away from evil.
You don't understand.
Then let me try to understand, Ray. Please, let me listen to what you're going through.
Sundown is going to be happening soon. I should get ready for training.
Talk to me, Ray!
Ray said nothing and walked out the door towards the training ground. Amy was left to stare in astonishment.
No. That goes here, and that goes there.
Clyde, I can't hold this much longer!
Mike said, balancing a bunch of paintings in his hands.
Just wait 1 more minute.
Too late!
Mike, I said 1 more minute.
And I said we didn't need 20 paintings!
There are only 10. Besides, you're a legacy holder. You're supposed to be able to hold things.
Clyde, as soon as I learn to use my powers, the first person I'm using them on is you.
How flattering.
How immature.
Ray said from behind.
Yeah, you didn't scare us this time.
Clyde said, turning around.
That wasn't my goal.
Well, Clyde, I guess you can handle the mess here.
Mike said, looking at the shattered glass on the floor.
Wait, what?
Have fun!
Mike smiled as he left with Ray. Ray and Mike walked down the dirt road toward the training grounds. Throughout the whole way, Mike could feel that something was troubling Ray, but he never said anything, as he did not want to anger him any more than he already was. They finally reached their destination, a decent-sized opening in the taiga forest, covered in shallow snow, and the lands were perfectly flat. The sky above was clear as could be, not a cloud to be seen. The temperature was below freezing, and Mike shivered in the cold. Looking up from the snowy ground, Mike saw Destiny sitting on a log. She had been waiting for their arrival, so she could finally start training with her new partner.
What took you so long?
Destiny asked, standing up from the log.
Mike here was busy messing around with paintings. Well, we're quickly losing moonlight, so let's go. See that tree over there?
Yeah?
Lift it.
Okay.
Mike started walking toward the tree.
No, not with your hands. With your mind.
Excuse me?
Just try.
Shouldn't you show me how to do that before asking me to actually do it?
Are you questioning my teaching methods?
Yeah?
Oh no. Here we go.
Suddenly, the tree was flying toward Mike at the full force, and Mike only barely dodged in time.
What the hell was that?
It was a tree. Were you not paying attention when it was hurtling toward you?
Ray says with a straight face. Mike said nothing. He had no response. How could he? He looked over at Destiny, who was in equal shock. She knew Ray was a tough teacher, but he was never this tough.
Now try to lift the now uprooted tree. I showed you how, didn't I?
Yeah, but you didn't show me how the process works.
Oh, shall I throw another one?
No need. I got the picture the first time.
Very good. Now, lift it.
Mike raised his hand in the direction of the uprooted tree. He tried with every fiber of his body to make the tree levitate from the ground.
Oh, come now. I completely chucked the tree and you can't even lift it?
I'm sorry that this is a little new to me.
You should be sorry. You can't even lift the damn thing.
Show me how, and not by throwing an entire tree at me.
Focus on the tree. Imagine the tree in the air, then do it.
Mike groans, then turns to the tree and lifts his hand to try again and lift it. Closing his eyes, he imagines the tree hovering in midair. He opens his eyes, and the tree is unmoved. Closing his palm and lowering his hand, Michael says,
I can't. What you ask of me is impossible.
Impossible? The task is only impossible because you have deemed it so.
Mike says nothing.
What's wrong? Have you nothing to say? No more iron nerve left in that tiny brain of yours?
Silence.
If you aren't willing to try, then I am not willing to train you. I knew this would be a complete waste of time.
Ray yells, walking away. Mike clenches his fists and starts walking after him when he feels a warm hand on his shoulder.
Don't. He's not worth it.
Mike turns to look at her with anger in his eyes. Not towards her, but at himself for his failure.
It's pretty cold out here. You and Clyde's cabin is pretty far from here. Come on, let's go to my place where it's warm.
No, you don't have to.
I insist. Besides, I'm sure Clyde will ask you millions of questions about the mark on your cheek.
Mark? What mark?
Mike feels his cheeks and finds a sharp pain in his left cheek.
Oh. All right, fine.
Mike grumbles. They exit the training grounds and head toward Destiny's house. Mike was very thankful for having boots on. Otherwise, he'd have to deal with the numbing cold of wet snow below with each step. Destiny's house was a large wooden structure with lots of glass windows. There was a porch at the uppermost center of the front, with fences on the ends to prevent falling. The top of the roof couldn't even be seen since it was completely covered in snow. Walking inside, the floors were covered in a soft red carpet. When Mike removed his boots, the feeling of the carpet was comforting to his aching feet. There was a large main room, which had a counter. Behind the counter was a furnace and a crafting table. In front of the oven was a table, made from a fence and a pressure plate. On either side were wooden stairs, used as seats. The house had plenty of torches inside that kept it lit up. The house was also quite warm and toasty inside, perfect for a biome like the taiga biome, which is freezing cold throughout the year.
Wow, this is a nice place you have here. It's so warm, too.
Mike said, removing his armor.
Thank you. Now, let's get that wound of yours fixed up.
Destiny said, looking through her chest for medical supplies.
That tree must have grazed me pretty bad. I probably didn't feel it because my cheeks were numb from the cold.
Mike thought. Destiny took cocoa beans, a water bucket, a milk bucket, and paper out of her chest.
Over here, if you will.
She said, motioning to the chair. Mike took a seat, and Destiny walked forward, wetting the paper with the water. She dabbed the wet paper on the wound. Mike grunted a little with each dab.
Man, he got you good. If your cheek wasn't hard enough from the cold, you'd have lost a lot more blood than you did.
She said as she continued patting.
Yeah, goody for me.
Destiny continued to wipe the wound clean from any blood.
There you go. You should be safe from any infections now.
She smiled.
Thank you.
Destiny walked back to her chest and took out 2 glass bottles, then walked behind the counter with the milk bucket and cocoa beans. She poured crushed cocoa beans in each bottle, then poured the milk in. She then mixed the liquid well. Crouching down, she proceeded to heat up the chocolate milk with the heat from the burning furnace.
When did Ray tell you?
She asked, still heating the drinks.
Pardon?
When did he tell you that you were a legacy holder?
Oh, that. Well, he kinda just showed up to my village and took me far away to tell me.
He just showed up uninvited?
Pretty much, yeah.
That sounds just like him.
She took the heated bottles away from the furnace and mixed them again.
Why is he like this?
Destiny sighed and said,
I don't know, Mike. He means well, but he's just kind of a jerk.
With the 2 bottles in hand, she walked back over to Mike and handed him one of the bottles.
That should help warm you up.
Thank you.
Mike said, removing the top of the bottle. Outside, the winds began to pick up, and snow started to fall. A calm night, interrupted by a strong winter storm.
Looks like we got in just in time.
Good thing you didn't try to get back to the cabin. You'd be stuck in the storm.
Thanks for letting me come here.
I'd rather have you here than a popsicle version of yourself.
Yeah, me too.
Mike took a large sip from his bottle of hot chocolate. It was soothing to his sore throat as it made its way down. The sweetness of the chocolate was perfect for a mind at unrest. His eyes felt heavy, not with exhaustion, but with depression. Destiny noticed it right away.
You seem unsettled. What's wrong?
She asked, placing a hand on his shoulder.
It's nothing.
I can read your facial expressions and your body language. Something is bothering you. Talk to me.
I guess I'm just a little homesick. I miss my house, and even more, I miss my friends. Isabella, Frank, Lucas. I just left them all behind.
Mike said, looking down at the carpet.
Isabella was so upset when she found out we were leaving. All me and Clyde ever do is go on life-threatening adventures. Isabella and the others would just sit there, waiting for us to return, not even knowing if we ever would. She was there to support us. She did so much for us. And what did we do to repay her? We just left her behind.
Mike, why did you come here?
To train?
Train to fight who?
The legacy holders.
Correct. So, in a sense, you left so you can protect them. So you didn't leave them behind, but rather, you're helping to protect them.
But I can't even lift a stupid tree right. How am I gonna face some super-powered demons if I can't even lift a tree?
You'll learn it in time. I promise you will. Ray is a tough teacher, but he knows what he's doing. Besides, I'll always be there rooting you on. I mean, you're my training partner after all.
She said with a smile. Mike pulled up his head to face her and let out a small smile of his own.